Hey everybody, what's going on? It's LiKwaiLao here. I'm a Twitch streamer and I'm here with my co-host BMX Shark Art, who's also another Twitch streamer. And we have some exciting news because the LFAM Streamers Podcast is bringing something new to you that is amazing. It's an amazing individual. We are a podcast that brings positive vibes and inspirational podcasts straight to you. The exciting thing is we talk about streamers, we talk about gamers, artists, and other content creators alike. These are amazing talent individuals, and we're here today with someone who's really special that I can't wait to introduce. He goes by the name Uvio on Twitch, Uvio, and that's spelled OUVIO_. And if you haven't seen his stream, it is amazing. But there's also another amazing name that I can't say well, so I'm gonna let BMX say it for me. That I think it just sounds cool. How do you say it?
It's Svend.
Svend.
Yeah, yes. Svend. Yeah.
Can I ask, Uvio, what? That's a very unique name.
For one, thank you. Yeah, I guess that's my first name. It's a Scandinavian name, but it's a little bit different than I suppose what's a little bit more common to hear, which is just Sven. Mine has a little D at the end, but it's actually not that uncommon of a name where I'm from, and that is not Scandinavia, it's Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that explains it. I tried to say it a few times and I failed. So I'm going to admit it, but I think it's an amazing name. I think it's an awesome name. So we had, thank God for my co-host, BMX Shark Art. Again, guys, if you haven't seen her amazing artwork on Twitch, you need to check it out. She's not only talented, she's extremely fast, but extremely humbled when she does her art. She makes it seem like it's easy. It's not easy.
More people need to check out her art. Absolutely.
Yeah, but oh man, you guys are both just talented. I love watching. It's hard for me when you're streaming. I have to have two tabs open when I'm watching you guys because you both are amazing at what you do at explaining stuff, going into detail. And I love this pub theme that you have, Uvio, on your Twitch channel, this fire. And this fire captivates me. And it's almost like you created a pub to kind of bring an ambience to the stream as you're doing your artwork. And I'm telling you, this fire moves, guys. The candles move. And I find myself taking my hands and putting it in front of the camera and in the screen to get the heat from the fire. It looks that real. It's amazing.
Honestly, when I first saw that animation fire, and I'm like, I was freaking out. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Right?
So I'm so glad you did that.
Never seen anyone. I've watched hundreds of streams do that, and I just have to say that's amazing. What made you want to do that to start with?
I mean, I'm someone who just as much as sci-fi just loves fantasy and medieval stuff. I mean, I've freaking got a sword back there, and, like, medieval tankards and all that stuff, like drinking horns and what have you. I love taverns, like the sort of like medieval fantasy type taverns, and I love Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't know, I kind of, when I started streaming, it was kind of like a little bit of like soul searching of like, oh, well, what do I want to do? Like, fireplaces are something that I'm always drawn to. I love having a fireplace. I love, you know, if I ever go and rent an Airbnb and it has a fireplace or something like that, I'm just drawn to that. And so when I first started streaming, I actually just had like a background from a video game that had a little fireplace there. But then, you know, I started out as an art streamer. Still am an art streamer, and decided, why don't I just use my skills, like the stuff that I do for a living, which is working in the animation industry, and apply that, and, you know, just kind of bring all my passions together. And it's really cool to see that people like it. It's really cool to see that people are drawn to, you know, not to make a pun there, but drawn to the, you know, that vibe, that tavern vibe.
It's definitely homebody. I love it. I think everybody can relate to it, especially right now with the passion and the mythology that's circulating around the gaming world and around the world right now when it comes to Viking shows, when it comes to the history, the mythology in video games right now. There's so much right now that is really educating the youth among this. And I want to step back a little bit and kind of go over you are better known in your industry too as I want to say a director in animation industry, correct?
Yes, I've for the last like 3.5 years, I've worked as a series director. But I come from an animation background, so I studied 2D and 3D animation in college, and then worked for many years as an animator on just TV shows and the odd commercial here and there, and yeah, so that's my normal work background, and drawing has always been a passion, which is kind of the first step I took, I guess, towards animation, if you want to call it that way, where I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, and then growing up with cartoons in the 90s and animated Disney movies and eventually anime and all that just kind of let me on that path to becoming an animator and choosing this path, I guess.
It sounds like the resume doesn't miss a spot because your characters definitely they all have their unique characteristics, and I love that. And I happened to catch you say the other day in one of your streams. I was in there sneaking about, but I did say hi. I heard something pretty cool where like I guess people that hang around your streams and are there for a little bit, eventually you might actually draw them as a character and put them in the pub. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about this tavern thing, I decided to just kind of make my channel feel like it's either like a D&D type of environment or like a video game. I don't know how to make a video game. I just I know the art side of things. I can't program, but using the features that Streamlabs and Twitch give me, I'm trying to build something that feels immersive, and as a means to give back to people just spending their time with me, I decided for essentially channel points to draw whichever way they see themselves in this tavern, and there's a whole like level up system to it that I'm still working through, I guess, and it's just kind of supposed to make it feel like they're part of it, and I don't know, because I always being someone who loves Dungeons and Dragons, I just want to share that passion for the game with people.
That's awesome. BMX Shark. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna step aside for a second because I'm gonna let you ask him some of your amazing questions because she has a list for you. So I'm gonna have her drill you. No, just kidding.
We can go back and forth.
We're gonna have some fun with it. But that's the great thing about these podcasts is, guys, anyone who's listening, ladies and gentlemen, we have fun with it. This isn't real time. We're not cutting, editing as we go. You are actually sitting with us at the dining table or pub table, pub table,
tavern table,
all right, having a couple with us and sharing a real conversation on the fly, and that's what makes these so enjoyable and personal. I want you guys to realize that these are straight from the heart, and these talented individuals are opening up their doors and sharing their information with us. So without further ado, BMX, take over from here.
Alrighty. Well, some of these questions I have, I've known Sven since 2014, I think.
Really? Only that short?
I
feel like
I moved here in
feel like
2013. Maybe 2013 because we moved here, I think, in 2013.
It would have had to be 2013 because that's when I think your husband and I ended up working together. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
My husband worked with Sven, and they became good friends. And then I met Sven, and we became good friends. And there's a lot of stuff that I do know just from hearing him on Twitch, and there's a lot of things I don't actually know, right? So one of these questions I may actually know, but what genre were you into growing up that wanted to get you into animation? I had a genre, I had I knew I was a cartoon Saturday morning cartoon kid. I was always watching cartoons. I immersed myself in anything from Looney Tunes to Disney, and that I held on to that forever. What did you hold on to, and you knew that this is what I want to do?
Um, I would say probably the very first thing that I remember um, are the old classic Disney movies. Like
Mm-hmm.
still to this day, one of my most favorite animated Disney movies is The Jungle Book,
Mm.
and there's so many great ones, but I just remember I don't well I don't quite know how old I was, but I remember like seeing this like news report on this guy at Disney who when he was like an 8-year-old kid or so sent them a bunch of letters about like, hey, I want to become a director at Disney, and they like reply to him and say like, oh yeah, that's great, why don't you finish school first and then apply again.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I just remember this like feeling of like a slight bit of jealousy, because I'm like, man, I'm already like older than this kid was when he first applied.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like, what am I doing with my life? I need to like, and I was maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 years old maybe. Like Disney back then was really like a huge company for me, where I just wanted to do what they did, and that's including the cartoons that they had, but mostly their animated movies. Later that fell away a little bit, so I went through a little bit of I guess you could somewhat call it an identity crisis, where I'm like, they fired all traditional animators,
Oh yeah.
all this
yeah.
stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what am
yeah.
I doing? Like,
I
this
remember
new
that.
company?
Yeah, I do too.
And,
I was
but
devastated. I was like, no.
I
that's
know.
what
I
started
remember
it.
that was like, what are they doing?
They were
Why
showing
would they do
pictures
that?
of them packing up their drawing
Oh,
tables
it's
and putting their
wrong.
stuff, you know.
That was so painful.
Yeah, I remember that. It's like it was devastating.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the I don't know if you remember, but the old flip books. Sometimes you would get them in a Cracker Jack box or something, and you'd flip it in, something would move, and that was just like to demonstrate what these beautiful artists were doing back there. With the original, you know, um, Disney movies and stuff, and obviously down the road, Pixar and all that kind of changed it all. Um, and it's amazing to see where your animation is today. I mean, if you look at your animation today, just like your stream, or you look at her character cartoon art in her stream, the level of talent and the realism it just keeps getting better. We as humans, we evolve, but man, as artists, you guys have really stepped up your game. I mean, it's amazing. Even video games were a pixel not too long ago, just a single couple
Yeah, that's
pixels,
true.
right? And you look
Yeah.
at it today, and it's like, whoa, I'm playing it.
I'm actually in Greece right
I
now, riding a horse. Right?
it really is amazing, and even just from back in 2008 when I came to Canada to now, like the way it's evolved, and to see how crazy like the French animation industry has gotten, and like the amazing talent that comes out of Gobelin, and the French animation school, and others around the world is yeah, it's inspiring to see.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. I know France has a really big traditional animation following, and I have a close animation buddy of ours in town here who actually animates uh, for stuff in Montreal, which are obviously might be getting stuff in France as well. But I've seen his traditional work, and it's just like there's still a small hub of people in Canada, or at least North America, that do traditional stuff, and it seems so lucrative now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like traditional animation is making a little bit of a comeback, which is great, because for a while like people were talking about, oh, it's dying. Well,
No,
not really.
no,
It's
that's what.
it's like a fine wine. Like it's just
Yeah.
People
Well,
appreciate it.
Well, yeah, and you just need paper and a pencil
Yep.
and an animation desk. You don't need any special equipment like for what I do and for like you don't need. I just need paper and pencil. And I think I said that to you, that what I do, even if I had a camera just on a piece of paper and
Yeah.
not on a Cintiq, it would be exactly the same, other than like no Control Z.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, Control Z is like lifesaver of a function.
Yeah.
For those that
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know, that's undo. That's
Yeah,
the undo
that's the undo button.
button. Yeah, yeah. Quick
All right.
erase.
My other question would be, why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do?
Yeah, why do you do
What
you
drives
do?
you? What maybe
Yeah.
just, why are you so crazy to draw?
Yeah.
Because some people they don't have the patience. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
I like to draw for fun, but to draw as a career, and I talked to BMX Shark about this, to do it in a real time matter or in a project matter or in a fast matter where you have to stay consistent on a daily basis and pump out so much in a time matter. That drive there, that's a great question.
Well,
That's both Twitch though and your current job as well. It can
okay.
just
I think I'll start with real life job then first, and then go into Twitch. Yeah, because the two are sort of connected, I would say. At first or at the beginning, I would say, just for the love of it. Like I love animation. I love watching it. I love doing it myself, right? Like animating characters is like, bringing characters to life is something that I dearly love. But like anything, I think it can become a job, especially when you bring in politics and budgets and deadlines and all that stuff. So I do what I do for the love of the craft. But one of the reasons I started my Twitch stream is because it might not be like this for everybody, but I found for myself at least that the longer I worked in animation, the less I was doing for myself, my own art. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with
you
myself.
kind of turn your passion into a job, and all of a sudden you do it 24/7, and it becomes tough to then find the sort of mental strength, the capacity after work, after hours, to still sit down. When you've been holding a pen for 12 hours, 13 hours, 14
Oh, yeah.
hours, to still then sit there and draw something for yourself is really hard. And I had been meaning to stream for a while, and now that earlier in the year, going with the COVID situation, I did have a bunch of free time on my hand as well. I kind of started to realize that I'm doing this for my creative fulfillment. That's where I get my creative fulfillment from, is working on my own little projects, which not everyone is fortunate enough to get their projects picked or picked up by a broadcaster or by a studio to develop. And I think a lot of artists in the industry would wish to have that happen to them, or at least have their own little things they like to do outside of work. And so Twitch has kind of become that for me, is kind of like my creative outlet.
Yeah, that's a good point to point out, because if you look at music artists today, a lot of music artists that have kind of shocked the world came off of YouTube. They were nobodies. They produced their own music in their bedroom, in their closet, their bathroom,
Yeah.
right? All of a sudden, they did this song. This song's a hit. It's a hit for a couple weeks, maybe a year. And for artists alike, I think it's awesome that artists are coming together on Twitch, this platform, and these are really good artists. This is something that needs to be like, if you guys listening to the podcast, if you haven't seen the talent that I'm talking about, this is real, like Comic-Con, show up, you watch them do their thing, and you're like, whoa, can I have that? Can you sign that? Can I keep that? Can I pay for that? I mean, this is real, but it's also, what's neat is they're not rushed with a line behind them. When they're watching a Twitch stream, not only do they get to know you, but they get to interact a little bit more on a personal level. And I think that's amazing because when you're watching you guys do what you're doing, you see a lot of amazing talent being discovered on another level where before it would have been missed, and like I said, I tune in a lot of times just to see the pub, and then I see something else. I'm like, oh, I like that too. I might notice something in the pub that wasn't there the night before. Like I didn't notice the candle lights until because I was so focused on the fire, and I was like, whoa, wait, the candles are moving too. Like
Yeah, I am actually working on a second background right now that's going to be animated as well. I don't know. It's it's the
wait.
first project where it's the first project that where like the last time I made a short film was like in college. That's like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Like I never had the time during work to do anything like that, and this kind of tavern thing has kind of started like getting legs of its own, if that makes any sense. Like it started to just kind of, especially in the last month and a half, people have more and more people have taken to it, which is great because it lets me know that the crazy ideas that I have for this little world that I'm trying to create are receiving some positive feedback, and people like it. And it's not just the tavern that's animated, like the barkeep, the tavern keeper. He's animated for alerts, just cleaning the mugs. And when I take a step back and I look at the amount of work that's still left to do to get it to where I would like it to be, like every alert has variations and its characters moving. You have the barmaid like coming in with like a whole bunch of tankards and all this stuff. Like the amount of work that is involved in that is at times a little like scary in a way, just because I don't know if I'll find the time for it. But then I just go back to focusing each stream on just working on a little bit at a time. And yeah, the great thing about streaming I found is it keeps you on a schedule, because if you work on stuff on your own in your own time, technically you're like, well, I got all the time in the world to make this, so I'll just start tomorrow, or I'll do it tomorrow.
it doesn't happen.
Now it's like,
No.
oh shit, Mondays at 8 p.m. or Wednesdays at 8 p.m. I got to actually sit down and make something,
Yeah.
right? And that forces you into a schedule, which is actually kind of nice.
That's awesome.
If I can interject too, like when Sven started streaming, and I just absolutely love all of his I'm in still, like, I swear every day I'm just like in burnt out mom mode. I don't know how I managed to do like streams till 5 a.m. and still function for the rest of the week, right? But Uvio had such amazing ideas. So when he started the tavern, and in our Discord that we have that we share together, but he pretty much runs the show, right? All his ideas just started coming into fruition. Like one was the emotes. I absolutely love his emotes so much. And representing that Dungeons and Dragons style, it is a style I like too. Like I like that whole world, the whole genre, right? But how he was piecing it together per week. And we don't necessarily talk every day, but I'll see like a new update on stuff on Discord, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I wish I had that kind of brain power right now, right? And so I absolutely love it, and I love what you've done with the tavern and your followers with their channel points, and like people having their D&D characters come to life, because from doing Comic Cons for so many years and making people's characters come to life, I've done that for many, many years, from Dungeons and Dragons characters to whatever they wanted, and OCs or personas, like whatever they want. And I enjoy doing that so much. That's why I do what I do in my stream. And so I just want to give it up to you, Sven, for doing such an amazing job. And I can tell a lot of people
It's fire.
love your talent, your tavern, and your talent. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I will say that when I started streaming, I started together with BMX, and it made things so much easier. If anyone out there is like thinking about starting to stream, you know, don't necessarily start it alone. Start with someone else, because then you have someone to talk to, and you know, and yeah. I mean, I'll send that all back to you as well. Like, it's amazing to see you. I wish I was as fast of an artist as you are. Like, people turn around, you know, even just for half a minute, they turn back and they're like, whoa, that drawing. and you know, I wish I had that speed. Unfortunately, you know, I'd take like 2 months to finish a single character like the last one that I did. But yeah, it's, you know, in BMX, I found a co-streamer and a streaming buddy that really, you know, is amazing to have. So thank you for starting this journey together with me, BMX.
I am so happy that we started this journey.
You know,
it all took place when he was just leaving for Japan, and I'm like, okay, you're in Japan. Okay, I've got 2 weeks to think about this. Yeah, I mean, and then he came back and we did it.
You know, when the thing is, it was crazy. Like, I don't know why I never thought about it before, but it makes so much sense. Is that, you know, you're fast, you're funny, you gravitate towards really hilarious things that you want to draw, and especially if it's like someone's username that's really funny or yes. whatever. And my God, like it's the perfect for lack of a better term, package for Twitch, right there.
It definitely is. She made my day the other day.
Oh, I did.
You know, and I just kind of put it out there because I was curious what this would actually look like. So I said, "Could you do me a favor?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, could you draw a sunflower eating sunflower seeds?"
That's right. That's right.
And it was just like I visioned it. Different.
Just like, I know. I think that's half the weirdness is when people ask me to do something and I create it, and then they're like, "This is atrocious," and I'm like, "Hey, man, it was your idea." I'm just. Yep. It's just transferring from my brain onto the Cintiq or whatever.
I kind of get why my mom said some things you just didn't say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, what other questions do you have for Uvio? And again, if you're just now tuning in, guys, we're here with Uvio. He's a Twitch streamer. You can check out his channel, Uvio, UUVIO_. Amazing artist. And we're also here with my co-host, BMX Shark Art, both Twitch streamers, amazing at what they do. You have to check out their channels.
My other question would be, how has your practice, now first with animation, how has your practice changed over time?
Practice changed over time. Do you mean practice in terms of like, you know, like the anatomy practice and all that stuff, like just kind of working on your
I would say just for the
ability?
Well, that we'll get to that. It would be your industry job, right? How has that changed for you over time from when you first got out of animation school and went into the field? And then my next question would be Twitch, from when you started Twitch, and how has that practice changed for
That's
you?
a good question, because tablets weren't really around, right? Like I'm talking the digital tablets we draw on today.
No, Uvio had those when he first started working.
Did you?
Yeah, that was just me. I'm just old.
I mean, I forget which year it was, but there was a, you know, this is way back, you know, maybe someone knows, but like Adobe 6.0, Adobe Photoshop 6.0 when that came out. I should, I guess, ahead of that say that both my parents worked in the creative field. My dad worked as a creative director and my mom as an illustrator. They both met at graphic design school and all that. So you know, that side of things creatively, it just kind of runs in the family, I suppose. And
didn't you meet your husband at college too?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I need to create a creative college dating meet and greet website of artists, because
it's actually quite common.
Man, let me tell you, you guys stay together.
Yeah. No, it's quite. I met an optometrist the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, my wife and I met in optometry school, so here we are." So I think it's common across all fields of work.
Yeah.
Whether you're going into engineering or animation, or, you know, it doesn't really matter.
That's actually amazing. So both your parents had somewhat of a
Yes. Although they, while my dad had made that transition during his career into sort of the digital medium because graphic design changed during his career quite significantly. My mother hadn't, so she kind of ventured into illustration. But just because, I was surrounded by it all the time, and I grew up loving it. Like I initially was all traditional, and then eventually was introduced to like an old like Wacom, I think it's called graphite tablet, like super ancient, graphics tablet, and like Adobe 6.0, Photoshop 6.0 or whatever it is, and then I kind of just started slowly delving into digital stuff. College was kind of like a mixture of traditional, like pen on paper, but also quite digital. It wasn't really like until the first anim gig where I started using Cintiqs. Those are the monitors that you draw on, and haven't looked back since. My vision has gotten worse because of it, but little side effect of staring at a screen the entire day, all day, every day. But so I would say like it hasn't changed too much from the way it was in college. What I will say is this isn't so much practice. This is more like the view of the industry, I suppose. Going into it very naive, I should say. Like that like very naive college optimism. And I don't mean to like make animation feel very real and sad to people out there, but it can be,
Yes,
just
it
like
can.
any other job.
that's a tough field.
Yeah, it is a very tough field.
I mean, because you got people that are artists looking in for certain artists, and then you got people that aren't artists that are maybe just a director's eye for an animation or project manager that isn't an artist. He's like the film side of things. He's looking in and he's like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. So everybody's eye has to line up, and they have to find these needles in a haystack for a project. Because, yeah, there's I don't know if anybody's ever seen the credits at the end of a Pixar film. Holy cow! Let me tell you something. Those credits are way longer than movie credits. Like,
yeah,
it's like a video game. Right, like the end of like Assassin's Creed, or something. It's like, holy cow, this thing's going for like
it's like 10 villages.
Yeah, well,
yeah, actually, like it takes a village to make a movie. It takes an entire country to make a animated film.
Yes, yes, perfect.
I never heard that. That's hilarious.
No, I don't know. I just off the top of my dome. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but actually, one thing that I had thought of too is sort of. You kind of in animation school, you're able to take your time, right? Like you're able to animate at your somewhat your own pace. Obviously, you've got the deadlines with assignments and stuff, but you're able to like shoot your own reference. You're able to really like put a lot of effort into the work that you do. Not that you don't for your job, but when you work in TV animation, it's like you need to pump the footage out because there's a deadline coming up in a week or two for the episode to be done, and so it kind of takes away a little bit of that magic that you thought it was in animation school, where you're like, man, like I'll just I'll get the audio clip, I'll shoot some reference material, and then I'll just like act it out and whatnot, and we'll make it look great. No, like it becomes a conveyor belt to a certain extent, where you got certain shorthands and certain ways of quickly doing something, and you just go back to that same like factory kind of mindset. All right, let's chop, get that done, out of the way, move on to the next scene, because you just have to, you've got 35 seconds a week, something like that. When I started out in animation, it's gotten a little bit better, and it's dependent on the project itself, but yeah, like it can get quite tedious after a while.
Yeah, and shortcuts, like for my field of work with character design, it was all about, and I worked on paper, so it was all about whatever shortcut I can possibly do to make everything go that much faster. So I wouldn't have to draw more. I'm already drawing 8 hours a day, and so I wouldn't have to draw more than that. So.
I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. My hand's hurting. I'm not even drawing. I'm thinking about like, oh my God, 8 hours. Guys, you remember getting in trouble in writing. I will not talk in class on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
So
It's a good day.
8 hours.
It's oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had animated this Scooby Doo commercial cleanup. Morrow was the one who actually animated it, and I had to do thick and thin cleanup, and I was doing around 400 pages of animation paper. Oh my gosh, it broke me at 3 a.m. I was the first time animation actually broke me, and I cried at my friends because I had to spend the night downtown Vancouver because I didn't want to waste time taking the ferry. That's how fast I had to get it done. And I remember just being on the phone and calling Mike in North Van and be like, I can't do this. And he's like, yes, you can. I got it done. I got it done. But yeah, that's the first time I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I failed. But I was okay, so it's just, it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah, all you can do is your best. And, whatever happens, happens. But, yeah, no, 8 hours is a good day, man. Obviously, like if you're a fast animator, that's great. I'm not that fast because I know I if someone's thinking out there about getting into animation, I think there's like 3 things that really matter. If you have 2 of those, you're fine. You'll be fine. Speed, quality, and personality. If you've got any of the 2 in any combination, you'll be fine. And for me, it's quality and I hope personality. I know I'm German. I know I get angry sometimes. I know,
999.
And I'll blunt and everything. But
we're gonna find out with this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. You got a great personality. If you ever watch his streams, I mean, like I said, and we're keeping it subtle because obviously we're doing podcasts. But let me tell you something. It gets fun in the pub. It gets fun in the pub. Sometimes that guy behind the pub washing the mug. What's his name?
Bjorn.
He sometimes you might have a couple while you're watching the drawing, or you might just enjoy your time. You just never know. But the pub is awesome. Like I said, that's a great theme. It's a great concept. I mean, literally. I was watching you one day, and I had my mug, my big mug, my big Stein, because I have a ton of Steins from Germany, like real ones and everything from October for Fest and all that. And so I even have a Star Wars one.
There might need to be a mug soon made, Uvio's Tavern mugs.
Yes.
Like glass steins.
Oh, I like that.
That can totally be a thing.
I try, like I ordered like a mug from Amazon. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get some spray paints for ceramics and try and make
that's what you're doing,
and it didn't really work out. That didn't work out. I got to find another way of doing it.
Maybe if you could draw a casting or draw something and then get it cast, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that, where I could do that. The other option really is, and that's a lot more expensive of an option. Like finally now the tavern has a proper sigil, and there's people on Etsy that do custom engravings on like traditional wooden tankards and all that stuff. So, that'd be an option. It wouldn't look like the tavern that we have as an emote in the I guess the tankard in the tavern that we have as an emote, but there's options, stuff down the line. I don't know. I've tried. It didn't work out.
I'm good at finding stuff.
I'm gonna shelve it for now. Put it in a little drawer. Close the drawer and open that another time.
Nice. Well, we're getting towards the end here, so. Any other questions you wanted to ask them before we start wrapping it up? I would keep you here all day because for one, you're interesting as heck. And I would be honored if down the road, if we could do another podcast on the new pub or the new, I don't know. You don't have to say what it is. The new, I don't know. What do you call that? Lobby? I don't know. The new thing coming. I don't want to give it up. I don't want to blow its cover. It might be top secret.
It's not necessarily top secret. I I'm a huge fan of storytelling, and I want to bring storytelling elements into the tavern. So I've been thinking about, oh, well, how can I do that, right? Like with Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a DM, a dungeon master, and I love writing my own little world. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do a little bit of writing, but bring it to people in a way where it just works with everything and it doesn't feel out of place. And how it could make something like, if I'm playing a video game that isn't like fantasy themed, how could that like fit into a fantasy tavern? How could that like morph into that? And I feel like storytelling might be a way of doing that. And so at some point in time, I'm not sure what the timeline is or when that will happen, but there'll be some voice acting bits and stuff that are pre-recorded that will play. Because again, like I was trying to say earlier, is that I'm trying to kind of utilize all the tools that are given to me, be that alerts, be that just making custom scenes or transitions or something like that, and it's in a way trying to recreate like a 2D RPG, like everyone knows it, like Banner Saga or something like that, in Twitch channel streaming format, without being like straight up just a video game.
Well, I know. Let's just say DMs out there, which it's been around for a long time. I mean, before Comic Cons, okay, the gatherings, the living rooms, the get-togethers. There's a huge following. So
the Coca-Cola.
If you're one, you might as well just go ahead and just start following his channel, Uvio's channel, because you all stick together better than any friendships I see out there. And some of you have some crazy collections when it comes to cards. Man.
I think one of the coolest things about D&D is kind of like when you're going through it together with other people, it feels almost like it was real, right?
Yep.
Like you talk about it like after a game or whatever, as if like that stuff actually happened. Like, oh man, remember how you killed that orc? And like, yeah, man,
everyone remembers
did
that
crazy thing and whatnot. It really just feels like everyone was there, everyone experienced this together, and it is real in a way. And I think that's such an appealing thing about it.
That is very, very true. Like even when I played like games like Baldur's Gate, which are all Forgotten Realms games, even meeting certain characters in that realm, it was like, remember that time I like met up with them and then we took down this like frost giant? And it's like if it really happened, even if it was a video game, you still remember all that stuff. And it's definitely like my son plays D&D with a bunch of friends, and the excitement, he tells me what happened that evening, right? It's very cool.
Yeah,
it's its own world.
More people should play it.
It is. Any final questions you have for Uvio going in, or the other name, the famous name? How I say
for Sven. I would say, what is the best piece of advice you'd been given and that you could give to other artists out there?
Oh boy, I've been given that I could give. I'll answer that one in like two different ways, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
One is for people out there that, obviously I'm not a director that has a crazy amount of experience. I consider like having directed for 3 years is still like you're somewhat of a greenhorn. Just like when you're animating and you're in it for 3 years, you're still somewhat of a greenhorn. This was advice actually that I also got from Aaron Blaise. Some people out there might kind of know him, Disney animator, worked on Brother Bears and Beauty and the Beast and so on. And I try to like really make sure that I remind myself every time I go into work as a director is that you need to take your ego out of it. Like, it's not your show. It's not, you're not the hot shot really. Like, sure, okay, you're the director, so what? Like, the team, they're the ones that are making the show. You have to remember that you're just one person, and yes, you were chosen for that position maybe because you're good at what you do, but you only see so much. So you need to sometimes take a step back and let people do their work. You need to step back and listen to what other people have to say. You know, there was this great documentary about Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3, and how George Lucas approached everything, and everyone was kind of like afraid of telling the guy, like, no, this is a fucking terrible decision. Like, don't.
Yeah, right.
Jar Jar Binks, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And like, and then after the fact, everyone's like, oh my god, like, how could we let this happen? And I just think, like, yeah, that's because no one's telling the director, like, no, this is shit, don't do this. And
Yep.
so I always try to make a point of asking everyone on the team, no matter like if they're the junior out of college that just came in, or the senior animator that has been doing it for 10 years or whatever. I always try to get everyone's opinions. It's your job then as a director to sort that out and like go with the good stuff, go sort out the bad stuff. You don't have to listen to everything, but it's really like that thought of like, take your ego and throw that out the door, because you're really just, you're delegating everyone and kind of trying to make everything work, but you also don't know everything all the time, and it's about teamwork. And then the piece of advice I would give to animators is similar in a way, is you have to learn to let things go. And this applies to directors technically too. If you're trying to navigate a world of like, you're trying to shoot for really great quality, but you also have a budget and deadline constraint that you need to like keep to, you need to learn to let things go. Obviously push as much as you can, but you know, whatever you're working on right now might not be the, you know, it's not the Beauty and the Beast, it's not, you know, the Jungle Book or whatever. I think this is actually a piece of advice I got in college, is that like your work, but don't fall in love with it, because there's always better ways of doing it. Your supervisor, your director will probably tell you a better way of doing it, and listen to that advice, because it can really teach you a lot. It can bring you ahead quite a bit in the industry. So take your ego, shove it in the closet, listen to what other people have to say, and like let that, you know, let that, I guess, love for your scene go. Let that, you know, as a director, let the nitpickiness, like on delivery day when you're like already 2 hours past the delivery deadline, let that go, because it needs to get done and your producer's breathing down your neck. I think that's the pieces of advice that I would give everybody.
Yeah, there's
awesome.
no business like show business.
Yeah.
The show must go on.
Go on.
The show must go on, right?
Don't
Exactly.
drop the bomb. That's what I was always told.
Yeah, draw lessons from everything that happens. Obviously, try not to make the same mistake over and over and over again. But really try to learn from every single thing that you do, and you know, you'll get far.
That's awesome. Words of wisdom. You know, so anybody thinking about going in this field, or you're down this path, just know that it's a dirt road for a while. Eventually you'll find some stones, and those stones might turn into a road, but it's a dirt road, you know, man, I just appreciate you taking time coming on the LFAM Streamers podcast, taking time out with me and BMX Shark, and letting us kind of go through a series of questions and finding what, as an animator, you experience and on a day-to-day basis, and how you bring your streaming to an amazing audience on Twitch firsthand. And in real time, you've made this incredible world that people like myself, people like BMX, enjoy coming and hanging out. And she's even more fortunate because she gets to stream with you and talk with you and all that good stuff.
If you want to stream with me, just let me know.
Just let them know.
I'm hitting in there, and I'm totally messing with you. But you never know. You never know. But seriously, both very talented, and I really, really thank you. Do you have any other questions for him?
No, that's it.
That's it?
I do have two more, but I don't know if you're
Ooh,
for time.
you know what? Let's squeeze them. Let's squeeze them.
They were
Let's squeeze them.
They're not very in depth. So one of them's name 3 artists that you actually admire.
Oh, I like this one.
3 artists that I admire. Man, I like you're
I know, it's a loaded
that I'm
question.
really terrible with. Like,
man.
if I see someone's art, if I see someone, or like if I hear someone's music, I know it, but it's like adding the name to that. It's the same with like if I see someone's face, I'm like, that's what's his face? I don't know.
Yeah.
It like the name part is always difficult for me. But the first one I would say,
Or at least one's fine.
there are a few. Fuck, I had one a moment ago. Well, one of the big things that inspires me is like sort of anime of the golden age that I consider be sort of like the late 80s, 90s kind of. So the director of Ghost in the Shell. Sorry, I should know that name.
Well, there's a lot of
like,
names, a lot of artists we like.
Drop my memory right now. Glenn Keane, because I mean,
Of course.
Disney, and oh my God, I had another one. Shit.
You guys get to work with so many different ones and idolize so many. I mean, the artists are amazing.
The list is long. I mean, you know, Hayao Miyazaki, the Ghibli movies, especially like the older Ghibli movies.
Yep.
Like huge inspiration.
Princess Mononoke and
yeah, like Nausicaa. If no one has ever seen Nausicaa before, watch it.
I haven't seen
amazing.
Nausicaa.
Do it.
I have not seen
You'll like
Nausicaa.
it. You'll like it.
Write it down.
But I would say Mobius, the French artist, like anyone who has seen my art knows that it's very line art heavy, and I that partially comes from that inspiration that is Mobius to me. And I just thought of another one, Ash Thorpe. If you don't know Ash Thorpe, look him up. Super talented artist and director who shares an insane passion for like the golden age anime, for Blade Runner and all that stuff. I'm super into that. Don't know the guy personally, but I love watching the kind of work that he does, and yeah. Anyways,
Awesome.
that's the. I keep rambling to every question
No.
that you have, so I'll keep,
No,
I'll try and keep
this
short.
That
is
was a
really
tough
good.
one.
It's
Yeah.
I was putting
well,
you
yeah.
on
I mean,
spot.
sometimes like you know, there'll be like two artists that we know that we really really enjoy, right? But then sometimes, especially if it's Japanese, we don't necessarily know their names. Like we just whoever does the Studio Ghibli stuff, we like their stuff. Like I would be the same when it comes to Naruto and the manga, and how for anime that's what I would kind of lean towards, right? And for me, for artists, it'd be Adam Hughes, hands down. Adam Hughes for me, right? And of course, I would have to agree with Sven on Glenn Keane for the Disney style and the look of everything, right? Not everything. He didn't do everything, but he did a lot. You know, he's been working on Disney movies since he was 18, and a lot of people don't realize the end of the Fox and the Hound fight scene between the fox bear and the fox and the dog, or the hunting dog, that was done by Glenn Keane at age like 19. Like that's how good he was. And most people think that could have been like an older guy. And it's like, no, that was a 19-year-old who animated that scene.
That's
I know.
insane.
When I worked on Sinbad, one fight sequence was animated by a 19-year-old. So yes, that kind of talent does exist with animators and traditionally.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah.
You
I
said
think
you had
that's-
another one?
I guess in closing, my closing question would be, professionally, what is your goal? I guess I would just say, what is your goal for Twitch?
Ooh, I like this one
Goal for Twitch.
Yeah.
because
you
it
as an
is
artist-
definitely. You guys
Yeah.
are both definitely going this. You're going up with it. You're building an audience, and they're staying with you. So I gotta agree. This is a great question.
I think, you know, going into it, I tried to make very clear to myself that, like, having a goal, like, oh man, I want to become the big Twitch streamer. I want to have like 1,000 people hanging out, all that. Like, no, like I don't care about that much, because it is insanely important to like take pleasure in the journey, Like, if you enjoy the journey, it doesn't matter if or when you reach whatever end goal you might have or might not have, because you'll enjoy every moment that is going on. And I keep saying on stream that I very much just value quality interactions over quantity. And so I think the goal there is to just kind of have a community that supports one another, that shares a shared love for role playing, for Dungeons and Dragons, video games, art, all this stuff. But really, like, there's so much BS going on in everyday life that oftentimes I find myself going to Twitch just to relax, wind down, and like just hang out and chill streams, not like toxic once or whatever. And that's totally cool if people want to do that. It's not my thing. So I kind of, the way I see my stream too is like, I just want it to be this place for people to come to feel relaxed, to like, sort of like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a tankard of ale after a long day of work type of thing. And like, no matter how many people would find my stream or don't find my stream, I just want it to essentially be a solid community that picks one another up instead of tearing each other down. And regardless of who you are, what you do, who you believe in, and all that stuff, because that doesn't matter in that moment. Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Good reason.
couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Good reason.
I mean, I think it helps that Sven and I have a real passion for people and wanting to connect with people individually as well as a whole. That's why quantity is not important to us. And that's never been my forte. Just doing so many Comic-Cons, I like, I miss sitting at a table and talking to so many people about their lives and what they do and what their genre is and why they're at the Comic-Con. And Twitch gives us that way to do that without going to a Comic-Con and connecting with people. And I've gotten to know so many people now through Twitch, just on the side, like just from messaging, from our Discord or whatever, right? And just kind of being there for people in a way, people who need it and who, whether it's just memes or just saying how people's day are, opposed to just, I only talk to people on Twitch, right? Like, people can message us anytime in Discord. And with art help as well, we are both very apt to helping others with their art, in any shit. And we can do it live too, right? So we don't have we're not shy about it or anything. So I really like the fact that we have the same drive in terms of what we want when dealing with people. And I love it.
That's awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate it, and you killed it. You killed it on this podcast. I mean, because you're still just so calm and humble about your artwork. But seriously, if you see his artwork, you'll see why I get so excited talking to these two, because it's that good. It's that good. This is no different than what you guys see on TV, or at a Comic-Con. It's a real deal. It's a real deal. And I want to personally thank you for coming in and giving us the opportunity to basically step into your pub, your tavern, talk to you one-on-one, get in depth, and get to see your own personal life as an animator and as a director. And the key factor here is I love the fact that you're both humble, you're both passionate, and you're doing it for the right reasons. And I see a lot of success going both your ways. And I'm even more excited because BMX Shark is also my co-host. So I love it. I love it. So we got a little history there, but that'll come down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to thank you 100% for coming in. And everyone watching, this is LFam Streamers Podcast. If you want to learn more, feel free to go to LiKwaiLao.com or just type in LFam Streamers Podcast on Spotify or iTunes or any podcast for that matter, and you'll see us pull right up. And again, I want to thank Uvio, who's also known as
Sven.
I'm going to say that eventually one day. Thank you again for bringing us in. And please check it out. OVO on Twitch. That's OUVIO _ or BMX Shark Art. Both, you can find them in the artist category. And your stream times, so everybody knows.
I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
There you go.
And I stream with Sven 8 p.m.
There you go.
Pacific time.
So you guys heard it here first. And again, we want to thank you. You're amazing. I can't wait to see what's coming up next.
Thanks so much for having
Thank you.
and BMX.
Anytime.